Good afternoon, Technology Drop-In Thursdays. Today is December 2nd. Happy Christmas or the beginning of whatever it is you celebrate. This is the time of year where not a lot happens, so I'm pulling out some other stuff that I've been wanting to talk and address over the time. And this is a really couple of cool things here. So first thing I'm going to do is talk about setting up multi-factor authentication. So at McEwen, we all had to do that what about 6 months ago, was mandatory for everything we did. So most people would probably have got an app on their phone that they were going to make use of. So there's the Duo Mobile app that you can authenticate against. They also have available these little keys, security keys that you can put into your laptop or your computer. And basically, instead of sending the message to the authenticator app, you just say, yeah, there's a number generated on here. Make sure it's the right one. And you just tap it and inserts it. These keys are available for free from technology support, so 7-292. So if you want, it is kind of nice because you don't have to keep pulling your phone out. You just tap this button and it automatically types in the numbers for you. But the point I want to talk about, though, is making sure you have more than one thing in place, especially for the Christmas holidays. So, because if something happens, so right now, this stupid key, it on its own will start punching in numbers. So some of you may have noticed sometimes that there's these long flow of numbers in some of the messages I send and stuff. That's not me. That's the authentication key doing its own thing. So it's possessed. So I've had to yank it out. So it's always important to make sure you have a backup version of it. So I'm going to go through the authentication process. And again, if you have any questions, by all means, just come off mute and ask. But when you log into the portal, and you go down here to account preferences, this is where you would have set up your original multi-factor authentication. And if you need more information, you can go into the help center. There's videos, there's instructions there. Pretty much going to cover what I'm going to talk about here. But I'm going to go select multi-factor authentication. I have already created something in there. So the first thing it says is, hey, what device are you going to use? So if I'm going to use my phone, I can either have the system call me, enter a passcode from the app that's on here that I can generate it, or send a push. And basically what happens is if I send a push, which I'll do right now, it's going to send something to my phone here. And I just tap on that and say, yes, it's Trevor. And in a way, it opens up. So you can have multiple things on there. So what I've actually done, oh, this is great. All my phone numbers and stuff are there. That's fine. So what I've actually done is gone in, and these are all my different devices. So there's my cell number. There's my, oh, how did that get authenticated? I have to correct that. I can throw in my landline, so I get a call through my cell phone. I have a secondary number that I use for traveling, so I don't care if you see that. So all these are different options that I have added in addition to the token that I first got. As a Mac user, I can also use the built-in Touch ID. It only works when I'm in the Chrome browser. And you'll notice it says Touch ID 1, Touch ID, Touch ID 2. This is for the Chrome browser. The Brave browser, which is what I use, is also the same. It's built on Chrome, so it works. Firefox doesn't work. Edge doesn't work. So right now only the Chrome ones work. But instead of having to authenticate with that, I can just use the Touch ID piece. So to add another item, you just go into here, you click Add Device. What is it you want to use? You can pick your choice there. You hit Continue, and pretty much that's it. So you can add, like I said, a number of different things. So when this thing craps out, I can use a phone line. I can use, because I have iOS in there, I can also have that use the mobile device, texting. This is another phone line for texting, or the token or Chrome or whatever. So really recommend take the time, go in, put in some other things, because if something fails while you're away on vacation, and should you decide to work, which I would not recommend, but should you decide to do some work and something's crapped out and you can't get in with the one method, you have a secondary method. Tech support will have limited hours that they're open, so you might have to wait a day or two before you can get to talk to someone. So just go through that multi-factor authentication, and it makes life a lot easier for you. The second thing I want to talk about today is Google Data Studio. Data Studio is basically an application that takes different sources of information in and then takes that information and makes all sorts of different dashboards. very similar to what Microsoft Power BI does, or Business Intelligence. So Power BI, you can make all these dashboards. You can have all sorts of different stuff pulled in. And Google, hang on, I'm going to pull it up here. Google Data Studio does allow all these different great templates that you can do. So I've actually got this one here, but here, actually, let's go into featured here and I'll show you. Let's get rid of that real quick. But it uses all sorts of different sources in here. So here's something with Anthony Bourdain Travels, how much to invest. And sometimes they'll point at a web source that is easy to get to. So for example, this is Google Analytics. So I have a couple of things that have that dashboard. Here's something about MLS players. Isn't that baseball? I don't know. Yes, it is. Suffering Fouls. So somewhere there's some public data that they're scraping and bringing into here. So there's all sorts of cool stuff. There's different pieces of data you could connect to and make your own or use whatever templates there. Now, I was playing around with this probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and I found a template that allowed me to basically point to a Google Sheet that I had to make public, and then give me this nice little front end. So I'm going to blow the screen up in a second, but just so you can see it, what I had done is years ago when we did the forms cabinet, I had it all organized in a spreadsheet. So there's all the different forms. So there's the title, there's the kind of item it is, the department, and the link to download that file. So this is what the spreadsheet actually looks like. And you can set this up so people can view it. So I mean, I can go into here, set this link up. And yes, people can go in here, and if it's publicly set up, it looks like this, a big spreadsheet. I can use the find command and search for stuff, but it's kind of really unwieldy, and you see more than you need to see. Well, what I've done instead is I've taken it and I've pointed this front end to that spreadsheet, and I can go in and select just exactly what I want. Now, in the link here, the template gives you a link to the template that I was using. It's based on the BART system, which is a, what do you want to call it, train system in San Francisco. But it was very easy for me to take that and then just make what I want out of it. So here is that interface. I have filters set up, so I can filter by a title. I can filter by a department. I can filter by a file type. So if I wanted to see all the different files available by, let's say, tech support, I just uncheck that, go find technology support or tech support. I click on the only here, and that's what shows up right now. We actually removed a bunch, that's why it doesn't show up. But I can go into a different department. Let's use finance just for the heck of it, and do phone only. And there's all the different finance forms available. And all this stuff is pulling in live time from the spreadsheet. So if I make any changes there, you just refresh the screen and it's going to work and do that. So how do I do that? Well, after you go in here into Data Studio, you click on this, and that link here will take you right to here. So there's the template. You can see it's only using 2 different fields. It's really not rocket science. But you go into the edit, and the first thing you're going to do is down here is you're going to point to your data source, which pretty much is going to be the spreadsheet that you want to use. So you would just point to that. The next thing that happens is you will see all the different types of fields that are columns in that spreadsheet. And then you just basically click and drag and bring them over to here. When I select on this, I can go into here and all this, like the template that's there, you can see the stuff that's there already, but it's pretty straightforward. I want to look at the title field, and I want to use a search. It's going to be ascending in there. That's it. It's really that simple. And then now you've got a searchable front end for a spreadsheet. And you don't have to have, like in here, this spreadsheet, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different sheets in there, but I only want them pointing to the one. So they can only see the one. And then I can embed this anytime on any other sheet. There's an embed code. So I'm going to go back into here into my edit. Let me go back here. Come on, Trevor. Whoops, screen's popping around too much. Click. I can't get off to refresh it. But when I go to refresh it, there's usually, oh, there it is, the share. If I go to share, embed report gives me the embed code, and that's what I would get. You can adjust the size and the width so it'll be a bit bigger. It automatically resizes. So even though right here it looks really big, but if I was to resize it, See how it resizes it. So it's going to fill in whatever spot that you put it in that is available on your website. But that's great because now you can give access to like 30 people to maintain the data, and then everyone else that just needs to search for stuff, you can go in and create this report. You'll probably have to do a little playing around. There is under the help, you can go through and there is there's a tutorial there and some other stuff. But really for this very simple interface, it's very easy to figure out on your own. Okay, guess what? That was really it. Let me just see what, someone's got a question here, I see. Hang on.
I had a question, Trevor. Can you put a count of records? Like sometimes when you're working on Excel spreadsheets, you want to see how many of those titles you have at the bottom. Is there a way to, oh, there, I see it.
There's the count, yeah, there's a count there already, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's just because the way the screen was. Yeah, and you can go in this section here, like when you highlight this section, and when I get back to the regular window, and it shows up the information there, you can say how many search results you want. So whether it's 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever, I can resize this to a bigger screen if I wanted to. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do with it. But yeah, just start by going over to datastudio.google.com, look around at what they've got there. Some guys can spend like a lot of time on it. I don't have the interest anymore, so I just want something where I can throw a front end in this. There are other tools available to do this in spreadsheets. There's one called Awesome Table, but you only get, I think it's 100 page views a month. So if it's a popular thing, you're going to have to spend money on it. This is free. Free. Doesn't matter how many people hit it. So it's a Google service, fill your boots, right? So I prefer to go down that path. You can make much more complicated, like we could easily put in a window that shows you different, like a pie chart or something. How many are finance? How many are these things? All sorts of extras that you can add on to it if you want to get down to that. If not, just find a template that comes close, grab that, play around, figure it out, copy and paste your pieces, and you're done. The nice thing too about this is that you can also have multiple pages. So it says add a page. So this might be pointing to the forms cabinet. I might add a page here, and it shows up as a tab at the top of the side. I can't remember. But then I could have another search function for a different spreadsheet. So rather than having different pages, you just have one interface, and then you just click on tabs to get different search results and stuff. Okay, exciting. That's it for today. Nice, short and sweet, but lots of fun to play in there. Any questions? Anything anyone wants to chat about? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.